All right, sorry. So, hmm, the other problem with WebEx is it lags like nothing you've ever seen. I don't know if you've noticed this. All right, so I think it's recording. Make sure. Yes. All right. Please continue. So, Maeve, there was a lot of static and talk over top of what a lot of you were saying, but what I was gathering you were putting out there was you appreciate kind of the unexpected nature of the pictures.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, yeah, there was a lot of motion, movement or microphone static.
Okay. I was basically saying that I like how she took the photo column approach with like not actually photographing her trip, but like
Mhm.
the other locations that she went like on her way to her trip.
Mhm. Okay. What other feedback are you guys giving her? What do you think's the most effective photo?
I really like that you used a lot of color in all your photos, but I still feel like they all kind of, come together. I can tell that they all belong together, if that makes sense. Like they just kind of, for me, have just like this harmony of like the outside and the exploration to it that it makes me want to know more about each one of these photos, which is enticing to want to read the copy block because it's kind of a struggle for us as photographers. People just want to look at the pictures and kind of scroll by. But these actually make me want to, go and read the captions and understand more about what, like, where you're at and why you took the photo.
We're on was really, really unique and it had a lot of really cool history with the Carnegie family. So I definitely wanted to add some of that into the copy block because I didn't get any pictures of the actual like houses that I actually liked. Otherwise, I would have put those in, but they just weren't my favorites. But I wanted to add that history in the copy blocks though, so it's there.
I think the only one that like confuses me a little bit is the first one of like just the tense. Like I think that could have been artistically like reworked a little bit. But other than that, like I think that's the only one that like doesn't fit for me. Like my favorite one is definitely the last one where like they're all kind of sitting in the hammocks in the trees. Like I think that tells a really good story of like kind of the rough nature of it, like where you guys actually were and how much it took to actually get there. So yeah, for me, I think that that's the one that tells the most story.
I tend to agree. The ones that leave me wanting are this one, although I think it's kind of interesting. It does, show environment. Certainly, this one is uh, certainly a clean headshot, but at the end of the day, it's just a headshot. Um, so I think probably a little bit more time and crafting of the. Uh, it's the important you say you want to see something more than just a headshot. So I think this gets into the environmental portrait, and even people-based photo columns, showing you the one that Ross Taylor did. Um, so Ross again, he's photographing he's photographing people and people's stories. Um, but again, he's able to and over again craft a really strong um, environmental portrait from just about most of them. Um, so especially something that centers on the environment, you definitely want an environmental portrait. So maybe maybe backing off a little bit, maybe with a 35, and try to craft something of the, you know, the palmettos in the background, or something that kind of certainly a good picture of her, but it's, you know, it's especially where you mix, you know, it's if you think about the selections, it winds up not, you know, the other stronger images kind of up the ante, and then you get to the ones that kind of, you know, aren't hitting the same level. So that's my critique there. So it's and you forgot your captions.
Oh, I figured that was like, I didn't know if we had to because of the whole copy block thing, or that could
Yeah,
have just
no,
been a goof on my part.
yeah, captions. Yeah, you know me. So they used to call me the caption Nazi at the pilot, which I didn't appreciate. But so yeah, captions are a thing. So yeah, other observations before we go to them. Maybe.
I also don't have captions because I thought like since we were doing like the block, I thought those are like the captions, but I can add those for a later time.
Yeah, definitely, because when we do the you'll whoever we bring in for the judging for the final will definitely, if you don't have captions on your images, they will let you know. So,
I'll just add those.
um,
It'll
and
be really easy since like I already have like the copy block. But basically my story was about like it's called like a little piece of home, and it's like like little sentimental things that you like carry around with you, just like that like has like meaning, and like so I wanted to get like a portrait and then like a close up. I didn't get one of the first guy, um, because like then everyone was leaving. Um, and now we're quarantined, but um, I really enjoyed this project. I thought it made me like grow as a photographer, as like because like when I was like interviewing them about like their like personal item, when I was interviewing them, I was taking photos at the same time. So like it was like that was the first time I really did that, which was a cool experience. But I think the storytelling was like my favorite part of this assignment.
okay, all right. So, what do
I
y'all
will
think?
say, um, I think that this is like, was this like kind of out of your comfort zone?
Yeah, definitely out of my comfort zone. It was like it was really hard for me to like find an idea, and then like at night I was just like playing with my bracelets that I always keep on, and then I was like, oh, I wonder if other people do this, and like I like posted on social media asking like if people like did this, and like a lot of people reached out with like so many cool stories, and like it was definitely out of my comfort zone.
I will say, I think this is awesome. I love the idea, and I love seeing, because like for me, like this stands out of like the rest of the work that we've seen this year, like from you, and I really think that like this is probably the best that you've done all year, and I really love it. So
Yeah.
Very conceptual, very strong concept, very well thought through, I believe. Other observations?
Yeah, I think it's a really strong piece as far as like the conceptual idea. I think you nailed it on the storytelling. I really like the portrait number photocom 04A. I like the light of the guy and the guy in his hands. I feel like some of the lighting in some of the other situations, like in 6A or in 2A, could have been better. But I really like the lighting in this one. I feel like you've thought about it, whereas the other ones, like I wish you would have maybe thought through where your light source was coming from because they are simple portraits. That's like such a key thing to doing portraits. So yeah, maybe think about like if you're gonna do portraits, thinking about your lighting.
I definitely agree with that. I definitely think I can clean up the edits a lot more. Um, my since this was like out of my comfort zone, I was like contacting these people and telling them like I can meet them in their like homes, like where they're comfortable telling their story. So like, but I definitely need to like when I enter someone's place, like look at the light sources and like find like the best place. But that is something I need to work on.
Yeah, or you can bring like a flash too, or if you have like one of those portable LEDs, like you can do that. But like I would say like always be prepared with like having some sort of lighting backup for yourself if you don't see something in their house.
Thank you.
From a presentation standpoint, as Martin was saying, the concept is very, very strong. I think the pairing of the portraits and the detail is a very nice way of doing this. Very effective at getting to the point of showing who the people are and then the items that they're connected to, which I mean shows that the edit is a little bit larger than what we were probably required to do. But I think that this definitely breaks that rule, and it's definitely good and very effective in that way. Because if you just had the detail shots, you're losing the person behind it. So I like the presentation a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, I definitely frame those requirements as, kind of the minimum. So if you want to go above and beyond, I always encourage people to do that. I think I've been pretty consistent about that. So I think to me, this works great. It reminds me, except it worked out way better here. My first attempt at journalism 335, and I'll just say we've struggled with that class. Not sure how much I'm going to continue to struggle if we should even keep it around. But one of my assignments was, okay, and you were only allowed to bring 10 pictures with you. This like long ride to Mars, and there can't be anything else in the spacecraft. All right, what 10 images would you pick to remind you of your life on Earth? And wow, did that assignment not go over well? It was an epic failure. Not even for the final understood what the hell we were trying to do with that. So live and learn. But this worked. I mean, this was really kick-ass. To me, it's very evident. It's very what we're trying to do here, and I think it's pretty well executed. The things I'm seeing, and to me, I think you can probably overall darken the midtones, like pull them down, and if you're in Photoshop, in curves, or just a brightness actually. Because this hand is hot. The Harley Davidson ring is very, very hot. Upside down. I don't know that I mind it upside down, but yeah, no, that doesn't look right either. I don't know. Maybe there's some other just playing here. Yeah, it's the one to me that I'm not sure quite works in its current form. Other than that, I thought it went pretty well. And I'm going to go ahead and pull all these columns for you guys. And yeah, it's grumpy. All right, so we'll go ahead and just I'll pull all those columns for you, and I'll go ahead in the week 11 module as a single file that you guys can look through. I do that now, but all right. So next, Michael, tell us how you approach this.
as y'all know, I really am involved with the local music scene here, and I just kind of wanted to do my photo column over like the aspects of like what goes into a local music show, essentially. Like the roles that people play in helping a show go on.
This looks very Lucas Carter, which is a good thing. That's a compliment.
I agree. I think
Suggestions?
these photos are absolutely like amazing. Why did you choose to turn it black and white?
Uh, that's a good question. I kind of usually stick to the black and white when it comes to those, just because I think it adds a good layer to it. I don't know. Like when I did like the first one in there, I put that in black and white, and it just kind of like was better than the color version, I think. So,
I mean, I like it. I think it like makes it kind of more dramatic, but also kind of like makes it less like chaotic. Um, so I
mhm.
liked it.
Yeah, I think the black and white pulls in some really interesting like shadow play, some light and shadow play, which is strong in a scene like this, like in the first photo, how the shadow of the microphone kind of leads you down his body. I think that's really interesting. And then in your third portrait of him in front of the guitars, the shadow actually kind of pulls him away from the background, which is useful in like a repetitive background like that. So I think the use of black and white here is pretty strong. And I agree with that choice.
Thank you.
Making sure my mic is on. Okay. So tell me about the port. You have two portraits in here. Can you talk through those?
The one you're clicked on right now, the one you're clicked on right now is the venue and like the show booker. This one is the equipment guy. So this is at Muncie Sight and Sound, and generally this is where like DIY venues here will like rent equipment from, like the mics and all that kind of stuff. And so I just went into his job and snapped a photo of him and the acoustics. It's his favorite room in the store. That's what he told me when I was there, so that seems fitting. And then the second one, the
Sure.
show booker, and I think the banner itself just kind of like represents like the community scene once he has going on. So this has got all the names signed on it, and I think it just worked best to have him stand there.
Are there any suggestions for what do y'all think is the most effective image in the selection?
It's for me, it's probably that one that you're on right now, Martin, the second one.
Mhm.
Of everybody kind of dancing and whatnot. I think that's, I don't know, like it really tells a story and it kind of shows the motion and the chaos and which I think a lot of people that are attracted to things like that are kind of, that's their favorite part. So I think that's probably the strongest for me.
I tend to agree. That's the one that kind of would be the signature image of the photo column. I think that works. I was kind of thinking that picture was more interested in with all the signatures and all the details of this might work. But I'm also kind of, looking at the other parts of the image, and I think it all comes together well enough. And this is very clean too. I mean, it's a good, kind of reasonable environmental portrait. I think you're kind of playing off the patterns, clean. Maybe sometimes, if you have somebody centered like that, it works. I don't know if you tried different framings of him. This is kind of a go-to composition for a portrait, standing directly centered in a symmetrically composed portrait. And sometimes it gets squawks from photographers as being almost kind of a trope. Works in this case. There may be other ways to vision this picture that maybe is a little bit less symmetrical, but that might also work. It's probably too much. So maybe using this black piece of shadow here as a way to terminate the picture on the right. Again, too much. There may be some other ways to do this, but I mean, I think you have a formally very strong and cohesive set of images here, and I'm definitely calling it a win. I have not had a chance to take a look at your copy here, but I'm expecting it's going to be very good. So again, I'll push that out to everybody and we'll share it. So other observations before we move on to the next? Okay. Okay. Shannon, what?
So I covered, as you guys know, I'm from the region, obviously. And I kind of wanted to play with Indiana Dunes was recently named a national park. And this is the town, well, Gary, this is a neighborhood in Gary called Miller Beach, but it's kind of its own like unincorporated city at this point. It's a very artsy district, and so like the name of this was Life by Lakeshore, and I kind of wanted to tell the story of people that live and work um, kind of on the edge of Lake Michigan and what it's like to live, as the first stop of a national park. So yeah, and I will say for number 6, the gift shop, he was the only one that didn't want to be photographed. So excuse the double detail shot, but yeah.
But they let you photograph in there, so that was nice.
Yeah, he was just, he didn't mind that I was there. He just didn't want his face in it. So
Okay. So what do y'all think?
I really like how all of these photos, like all the colors pop. They all just look very, very professional. Like you took the time, and the composition in each of these are just so good. I don't know if you did like a lot of editing, but they look really, really nice.
thank you.
I love the colors and the composition, especially. Like that one that we're on right now is probably my favorite, just because it's such a pop of color.
Yeah, that Vibrations is a juice bar in Miller Beach, which if you know Gary and you kind of know the area, it's kind of he was kind of a pop of light. And you don't find very many like juice bars in Gary. But he was really awesome. Just it's a wellness shop, and he was pretty cool.
I also think that it's just a very cohesive story. Like I like all the variety of shots that you got.
Thank you.
I'm also seeing the cohesion. And one thing I want to start asking everybody, what did you learn when you were doing this?
Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah, we'll start with you, but
Okay.
I'd like to kind of make that maybe a concluding discussion, or at least part of our discussions here.
I think I learned probably kind of my fondness for community journalism. And, I've always kind of been like, I want to travel and I wanted to be like the big National Geographic and whatever. But I think the more that I work and the more that I guess I didn't realize like how eclectic my area is. And I think that it deserves a little bit more coverage. And I think that like I would want to be the one to do it. So yeah, just kind of my draw towards community journalism and kind of telling stories of like my hometown and whatnot.
I think the ones that kind of are speaking to me are, this image here. Sometimes that kind of retro signage, the images that kind of harken back to the old highway, culture of the 50s and 60s are kind of interesting. They're interesting artifacts. You can find them, you can even like take these. I'm sure maybe someone who was a student of maybe an American Studies student, or someone who was a student of history, or even art, can these pictures and make kind of a cohesive, either a column or just a photo essay. And this one, I come back here. I'm struggling with this because I see, I don't know, it's a very oblique picture, and I don't know if that's something you were trying to get at in the image. But there's a lot of, to me, just thinking through the visual rhetoric, there's a lot of tension and angles, and at such a direct and weird angle, there's the tension there. I don't know if it was intentional.
Yeah, no, I was definitely kind of playing with I was trying to get a little bit more artsy with it. Just because when I was there was nobody there, and it is with me being a Catholic, I can say this. Catholics aren't very open to the media inside churches and whatnot. So yeah, I was just kind of playing with like the artsy idea of it, kind of.
Sure. You're definitely shooting tight on things, I think, uniformly. So tight picture. Otherwise, I don't know, it's kind of a straight on. I wouldn't say it's wide, but it's not tight. Maybe your loosest picture there. You're shooting tight on a lot of things, include, and again, I'll probably reiterate that what I said earlier about the other portraits. I think it was Katie's. We want more in the headshot with these. So just back off a little bit, just kind of, to the extent that your subject allows it, try to get more atmosphere, more environment in the environmental portrait. This is one that's kind of getting there, I think. Although I think I think you could probably pull back even farther still and have a very compelling picture with them. Same here, you're still in the headshot zone. And Ranger, it's definitely shoot for the environment as well. Kind of in the spirit of some of those environmental portraits that you were shooting I believe in 335 and certainly in 235. So that said, to me, these pictures again follow the theme, and I think you learned a lot from it. I seen it. It looks good.
Thank you.
There's always a way to kind of kick it up a notch, and that's again the spirit of these discussions. So, Brittany, you are next.
Yes. My photo column I decided to do on fashion and everybody's kind of like personal style. So this is Allison. She said that she likes to dress either as like a CEO or she can look like a dad sometimes on vacation. So she kind of has that kind of style. Let's see. Yeah. So she dressed more like a CEO that day. The next person is Jamin. I mean, I just tell him what to wear and he wears it. That's pretty much his style. And then I was able to photograph Michael, and he's looking awesome in all of his, pieces and stuff like that. And I had a blast in the studio getting these. Let's see. I'm trying to remember. I feel like a common theme with a lot of these people in the photo column is that they like to shop at Goodwill because they like secondhand clothes and stuff like that and making them their own. With Hannah in this picture, I call her style like hand-me-down style because she gets all of her clothes from like family members. So like that jacket's from her dad, the shoes are from her mom. She gets a lot of clothes from her grandma. And then Abby just said that she likes to wear things that make her feel comfortable and more like grounded to the world. Just whatever kind of makes her feel easygoing and peaceful is what she kind of described her style as. But yeah, I mean, I had a blast doing this. I wish I would have known more on how to pose people properly. Because when I was taking pictures of Michael, like he was kind of giving me some pointers of, different poses and like the lighting situation. So I wish he could have been in the studio with me like the entire time. But yeah, I think I would like to know more about how to properly light people and pose them and stuff like that. But it's fun.
What was the most challenging thing that you had to do in this project, or something that you learned while doing this project?
That's a good question. I would probably say those two things, like posing and lighting. Because I had Abby, the very last picture, I had her finally kind of just move around and spin and dance and stuff. Allison was my very first person that I took pictures of, and we were kind of figuring it out as we went, and posing was really difficult and lighting was really difficult. And then actually with Hannah, the fourth picture, I realized that my shutter speed was too high, and that's why it's like black near her back. And it took me a long time to figure that out, but I still like this one because I think it has like a different feel to it because of the black. But yeah, I had issues with lighting and posing for sure. I would definitely like to know more and study it more before I went into this.
I know that you said that you had trouble posing them, but I kind of really like the poses. Like the first pose, like the business like look, and like she kind of looks really businessy, like she's posed that way. The last one how it's like you said that she likes like flowing, like chilled kind of stuff, and like that's what she looks like. Like I think you captured their personality as well, like in the studio. The only thing like that kind of tripped me up is like the first photo's background, but like you said, like you were just learning how to like get the right settings. But I think you did a good job with posing.
Thank you. Yeah, I noticed that the background too, it kind of throws me off because it's the only one with a black background, but that was probably one of the better pictures that turned out. So
Yeah, I mean, she seems like a really, this totally makes sense, of, your shooting and the way you're kind of thinking through and problem solving all the way through. She looks, I don't know her, but I'm definitely getting a vibe from her personality that this is not an appropriate picture for her. Is she kind of a shy, not, I don't want to say, well, maybe, yeah, shy person, or just someone that keeps it kind of low key, would you say, or do you know another side of her?
I don't know her very well, but I think that she does have like more of a, I don't know, social, like she's not shy is what I'm trying to say. She's not very shy. But it took me a long time to get her kind of warmed up in the studio. So like we practiced these, she had a lot of very stoic, or she almost looked like she was angry at sometimes, and I was like trying to get her to laugh, trying to get her to smile. I even tried putting on like a comedy station on Pandora to see if like that would work. Like I tried so many things just to get her to smile. But I think she was just nervous and didn't really know what to do with her face, and that's understandable. So I tried to get her to smile, but like the smiling ones just didn't turn out as better or as good as this one did. So that's why I chose this one instead.
Yeah.
But no, she's happy. She's a happy person.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, yeah, this didn't seem like a totally inappropriate picture. I think you definitely captured that side of her. And on the other hand, Abby, she's in my 235 class, and she's definitely what I would call a free spirit, times 1,000.
Yeah,
she's,
very much so. Yeah.
So I think these all kind of work. Looking good, Michael. Anyway, yeah, this is pretty cohesive. I think you definitely worked them. You clearly worked them, and I like again your problem solving and the way that you were at the challenges of this series. So
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We're all, I think, uniformly doing pretty good here. So this is well. This one looks very Robert. What is
That first image is incredible. I love that. That lighting is beautiful.
getting that lighting?
Yeah.
Totally.
The black and white is really nice too. I know you like doing the black and white thing, and it works really well here.
Absolutely.
So, like, my idea for this project was to show how people change as they grow, as they get older. We were talking about in class about something about senior citizens, and I said how that really freaks me out, like how older people, like my own grandparents don't freak me out, but old people kind of freak me out in general. But so I kind of wanted to go with that theme of like growing up or growing older. So like the first image is like, it's about your faith is it's growing, or it's changing, and that's something that as you get older, like this girl is 13, like I remember getting baptized when I was in 5th grade or whatever. Like as you get older, like you make different decisions and you change and you grow as an individual. And so this was just like they had like a mass baptism at the church that my parents go to at home, and I was like looking for stuff, and I kind of debated like with this image like going in front. I feel like that's like where you'd get maybe the most emotion, but I kind of before they even started, I kind of thought like I want to get something where it's just kind of like highlighting them, and like you can't tell, but like this is among people, so like on the right side, the image kind of like goes dark. It kind of gets cut off a little bit, and that's because someone's standing there, right? So I like really dropped my I like underexposed, so that way it would highlight them and silhouette everyone else. And but yeah, I mean that was just something that I was like thinking about, like as they were baptizing many people. So there's definitely different approaches that I did with this one.
Tell us about this.
So my brother turned 13, and I know, like I talked to Kyle, I've been wanting to do stuff about like my family, but like I know that that's kind of unjournalistic, and I was talking to Kyle about that a little bit, but I decided to go with it anyways because I thought birthdays are a big thing. You know, it's like the most like visual representation of you growing up and growing older. But my brother, there's like 10 candles, and they all like kind of caught together and made this interesting flame thing, and it's just his cake, and I liked my brother's hand with it. I don't know, the flames kind of, it's just kind of interesting, like how one side is lit and then the three's not lit yet, like it's like almost like a bridge, like a chain. I don't know, maybe I'm getting too like deep with it, but I don't know, I thought it was kind of an interesting like difference between like who you are and who you become. I don't know.
I think in terms of you know, a discussion of visual rhetoric, I mean, I think that's a fair and insightful actually thing to say. That you're actually photographing a yeah, that you're crossing a milestone in a sense. So it makes perfect sense. I like your thinking on that.
Again, like these are my parents, like going back to it, like it's just really interesting to see, like when I was younger, I used to always be the person on my phone, like around the house, but it's interesting to see how my parents are now on their phones. And I feel like you can kind of see that they're turned a little bit away from each other. And I think as we develop and age, like sometimes we do that. And I feel like certainly technology has changed us either to be more connected or to kind of grow apart. And so I just thought that was kind of an interesting image of them. And I didn't pose them or anything. I kind of went in, they looked at me like you're a freak. They don't like to be photographed, but I made the image anyways, but it was just kind of interesting to see that they kind of were turned away from each other. Just trying to represent like how people kind of can grow apart, I suppose, or grow together, either way. It's just, I mean, also it's interesting that they used to be very different people too, and I feel like you can tell that they're, I don't know, from like that's a little biased standpoint because I've grown up with them, but they used to be a lot different towards each other.
Again, a very powerful and I think a very telling picture.
And then this one is this dog that's been in my cousin's family for 15 years. She's now deaf, and all of her hair, she's a pit bull. Her hair that's white near her eyes used to be black. So it's turning gray. She can't hear you. And then the youngest member of their family, Lexi, who's 8, is holding her. And it's just a nice portrait. I wish I would have gotten the dog's other eye in it, so I could have had the two eyes like parallel. But I mean, Jade isn't. She's a dog. She doesn't want to pose for photos. She's old. But I don't know. This is interesting because this is a dog that like her older siblings grew up with. Like her oldest sibling is now 23 or 24. And so this dog has been in their family for 15 years. And so like instead of getting an old person, like sometimes we don't think about like who else is old in our house, you know? Like sometimes as we're growing up, we forget about the people around us that are also growing up or getting older, and that includes like our animals.
One of my pitties is 14, so but I think what's like Martin says, that like there's always like a story within a story type of thing. And I think what you just described is like its own story of, you know, because like our pets are always just kind of there, you know, like we come home from work or school or whatever and they're there, but like they age too. And I think that like kind of telling the story of like looking back at pictures of Milo when we first got him and he was 4, you know, like those look so different than the like the photos that I have of him now at 14. So like I think like that's its own story within itself. And I think you've always been really good at that, at like finding a larger story that has like little like subcultures coming off of it. So I think that that aspect of it is really strong.
Thank you.
That's a real advantage that that I guess can provide, is you have a unifying, so you have all these nested stories within this story set. Yeah, so I think that really um, what we can do within photo columns. And the last photo, which I think is a very Robert Frank kind of photo here.
Yeah, this is like what it looks like when I leave home. Like if you don't take the interstate, you take a country road. It's really interesting. I always will get off the interstate and drive through this country road when I come home, and then I'll drive through this country road as I leave home because there's just like so much that it means to me. There's so many memories on it. It was a really pretty sunset, actually, so I could have left it in color. The sunset's in the background, and it was a really pretty blue in the back, but since I did change everything to black and white previously, I knew that I had to stay synchronized, but or make it work together. But I think it's like really important that this is kind of like how I see Muhammad, and like this isn't necessarily how other people might see it. Um, but like this is like something that I like. This is just like how I see this town, is like there's opportunities like in front of you as you grow older to leave. But then there's always like the same people in the background, and it's about leaving those things behind to kind of go into the unknown of what's ahead. You know, with the people behind you, it kind of says in the caption, you graduate with the same 250 kids you've known for 12 years. It's a community where members come together in mourning as death reaps the lives of teenagers. It's a town where your parents and grandparents went to high school and decided to come back to when it was time to raise a family. And it's kind of like that image is supposed to be like you going into like the unknown and exploring beyond that small town that has been so comforting for so long.
Well, I think these are really nicely crafted and purposeful. So you know what I need to. This is a box note. Let's go ahead and try to pull it in. I'll push that out with the rest of these things. Yeah, these are all, I think, really well crafted. Each kind of stands on its own. I feel that they're fairly unified, actually, and cohesive between them all. Yeah, to me, it's really strong. Other opinions before we move to the last, which is Kyle? All you guys are doing, I think, fairly well with this.
Hey, Doc, before we
Oh.
jump into Kyle's, I just want to let you know that my photos are in Box. I just uploaded them. I don't have my photo block or my copy blocks yet because I have another follow-up interview today, but they're in there if we wanted to look at them.
We're kind of out of time.
I mean, that's fine if not, but
I'd have to.
I just want to let you
We
know that
can-
they're in there.
We can start the next class if you like with, in fact, yeah, so when I've only got 4 minutes now, and that's kind of selling you short, and I don't like doing that. You okay with, you guys okay with coming back on Tuesday and finishing up the last 2?
That's fine.
Yeah.
with me.
I mean, that's fine. Whatever we do.
I'm cool with that.
Let's do that. Let's do that. So we'll do that. This.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Kyle, you totally need to next year an INPA. Actually, you need to enter a bunch of things in INPA, but yeah, definitely don't forget to take advantage of some of those opportunities that are. Okay, so something. Let me stop screen sharing for a moment as we prepare to wrap up because my text is blowing up with texts from Ryan Sparrow, and also for my NPPF. All my NPPF people, my board members from NPPF are buzzing now about something. You guys definitely need a hobby. Anyway, I'm just saying. So the one thing I'm probably so there's some email traffic, dean's office, and I needed to make one clarification to any of the work that we're doing. Sorry, looking through my sprawling email. I'm glad I turned this off. So one thing to stress is, and I think I did it well enough in the kind of marching orders and game plans of the new assignments that we're doing, is that so your assignment work does not empower you to break any of the governor's orders with regard to the quarantine. So I just this came from the dean just this morning, and I'm announcing it, and well, not announcing it, but kind of clarifying that in all the classes. You are you're certainly empowered to photograph your own life and experiences with regard to the pandemic and with regard to the crisis, but you're definitely because of your photo assignments, you're definitely not empowered to break or violate state mandates with regard to the quarantine. So yeah, so that's something I had told the dean I would announce in all my classes, and have done that. And I think you guys are, as far as I can tell, and as far as I've heard, you guys are honoring the letter of the law and the directives from the state, which I appreciate. I would get in trouble. So anyway, so moving ahead, I'll go ahead and set up a discussion for the last 2 students in this current assignment. I think y'all did well. Actually, I will say that y'all did better than my class last year, who I think really struggled with the not only the concept, but especially the execution of the photo column. I definitely get the impression that you guys understood it. So, and I think you know you uniformly really worked it and put some good thought into it, and have reasonable images to show for it. So good job, seriously. So any questions or observations for the good of the cause before we sign off? 1 minute late.
Question. For our vlog, for the whole like our experience, how long should that
Journal.
be?
I am, you know, typically I tend to score very high on the first journal.
No, the vlog, like
Blog.
for our last assignment.
I would say at least is usually the rule of thumb, and that is only a rule of thumb. That's, you know, you can go longer. I actually, so yeah, allow me to point this out to you and screen share. There you are. There's Kyle again. So let's go back to, so there's Ross's stuff. Go back to Helm. And so I posted, I think I posted this. Maybe I just thought about it. No, I posted it. Example, here we go. Yay. So examples of fun videos. So these are, this is to kind of, this isn't really, I'm not saying that you guys do this right here. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that each of these were all first person, what they called about me videos that I did for my journalism 302. Well, I didn't, I had students do them for my journalism 302 class. That's the media and diversity class. And I thought they came out pretty fun. So whenever I try to play videos across WebEx, it's all quite horrible. But
So is this video taking place of Project 4 then? Did I miss that? Like, I'm a little confused.
yes,
Is this Project 4?
one moment. Let me go back to the video. Is not the video is again just to kind of give you an idea of what you might consider doing in terms of some autobiographical piece. Again, what we're doing with, again, we're not doing the video. We got rid of one, remember, we got rid of one assignment. So we're just doing the passion project. And for that assignment, well, let me go back to what we put there. Videos, assignments. Go to the syllabus. So we got rid of Project 4. Project 5 is, again, document your personal experience of COVID-19 through images, videos, and words. Hearing weird echoes in my voice, but I'm okay with that. For your health and safety, we're limiting the assignment to your own experience. Perhaps you may add or construct a video diary. Examples of what you saw just in those videos. And that's
Gotcha.
the operative word there is perhaps. So I'm like throwing out ideas. If you have other ideas, you know, certainly share them with the class, and you can do that on the Facebook group. Try to maintain all aspects of your current reality that a student wishes can be permitted and again, under the caveats of, be legal, please. As long as the student maintains quarantine and necessary. Yeah. Sounds vague. You're damn right. I'm trying not to give a lot of restrictions to this.
Gotcha.
I don't
Cool.
always
Awesome.
do that, and I don't always do that, and I guarantee you our professors don't always do that when it comes to restrictive assigning. But in 60 years, I've never encountered this kind of situation. So I think it stands to reason. It's a very unique place, and we're going to look for unique solutions. Show. I'm lost in my own computer. Okay, so.
Okay, well, thank you for class today, Martin.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, I wasn't sharing my screen. I got lost in my own thing. So, yeah. So this is our current reality right here, and I think that deadline has not changed, but you sure have a lot more time to work on it.
Great. I have to actually go out and photograph something. I'm going to the grocery store, so technically I'm not breaking the law because it's the grocery store owner. Anyways, but thank you for class. I'll see you later.
I agree. All right. Thank you. Everybody else cool?
Thank you.
Yep. All right.
We're all
Have a
good.
good one.
Thank
All right,
you.
I'll post. Bye, everybody. See you later.